Hi IGTV, welcome back to another market update that I've been doing on a weekly basis. You'll notice that my background is a little bit different than it's been in the past. I am in a short-term rental right now as our house is being renovated, so not filming from my backyard today, but I will be back to it eventually, I promise. So anyway, what's going on in the market compared to last week? Well, not too much has changed. We are still seeing everything moving towards a seller's market, which is not too much different than what I said last week. We have about 17 cities in Maricopa County, and those 17 cities are all right now moving in the direction of a seller's market and are currently in a seller's market. They're just moving even further into that seller's market. Last week I talked about Paradise Valley, and for the last few weeks I've been saying that they're in a little bit more of a balanced market, kind of flirted with a buyer's market for a while. Well, they're moving back towards the seller's market along with Scottsdale, Cave Creek, and Fountain Hills. So those are all areas that were a little bit weaker for a while, but are now all moving back to that seller's market. We're also seeing the luxury market start to recover quite a bit more than it had been. It had a little bit of a slow recovery, but we're seeing that start to pick up as well. So everything kind of moving back in the direction that it was headed before coronavirus, which is interesting to see. I talk a lot about how our listings are minimal and they're severely low right now in Maricopa County, and I've said that for weeks and months and years now because that's been the case. But to give you some perspective, about 20,000 listings in Maricopa is a little bit closer to a normal range for the demand that we have. And right now we're around the 11,000 mark. So that gives you a really good idea of how severely low we are on listings, which is one of the reasons that our prices continue to rise and the market is so competitive for buyers. So what's interesting though is over the last 3 months with coronavirus, things have changed and been a little bit unexpected. And right when coronavirus hit, a lot of listings came on the market because they were investors that were trying to get rid of their short-term rentals or long-term rental properties. So we did see a spike in listings, and then all of that kind of leveled off and then decreased. And now the number of listings that we have is only 145 listings higher than it was in February. So we're essentially back to the same number. In February, we were at 11,087 listings, and now we're at 11,232. So only 145 more listings now than we had in February. So essentially, although we've done, this over the last few months, nothing has really changed. So we're back to this low number of listings again, which brings me to say, all of these things are tough for buyers, but if you are a seller, now is a great time to sell because these prices are high right now. Appreciation has been going up over the last few years. The demand and the lack of supply is pushing prices up. So you'll get a great price for your home, and you'll probably get multiple offers as well because buyers have so much competition and few options, and you'll probably have a lot more interest in your property now than you would have in more of a, balanced market or a weaker seller's market. So now is a really good time to sell. It has to be the right time for you. It has to be something you've already been thinking about doing. But if your mind is on that track, I would encourage you to really seriously think about it because now is an excellent time to sell your house. We have a lot of pent-up demand right now because really our high season in Arizona is February, March, April. And some of May. And a lot of that was suppressed with coronavirus because our market kind of stalled out and we didn't do a whole lot. So we have this pent up demand of buyers that wanted to buy during that time and weren't able to, in addition to people who had already planned on buying in the summer. So we've got this combination of pent-up demand and the strong demand that we would have otherwise had that is really creating a lot of buyer activity out there and competition on listings. So I don't know how much longer that will last. We'll see if that continues through the summer. But what I can say is that I know now is a really great time to sell for those reasons. Now, if you're a buyer, I know I continue to tell you that it's a challenging market out there. There's a lot of competition, and I'm sorry that that's the case, but it really is the fact of the matter. And just to give you a good statistic so that your mind is in the right place when you start your house hunting journey, 23% of listings are closing over asking price right now. So if you are offering on a house, you might want to consider offering over asking, because 23% of closings are over that asking price. So you really have to be competitive to get these homes. To give you an idea, back in January and February, we had about 17 and 19% of listings closing over asking price. Now it's jumped to 23. So that's just the market that we're in. You really have to be ready to be competitive, but don't be discouraged. There's many ways for us to be competitive, and it doesn't always have to be just in the list price number. So if you have any questions about that, or you've been thinking about getting out there and you just don't know how to prepare and don't know what to expect, I'm happy to help you with that. And same for you as a seller. If you're thinking about selling, I'd be happy to talk with you about the value of your home, what you could get, and how much demand there might be in your area or your neighborhood. So feel free to reach out to me with any questions. I hope this is a helpful update, and I will be back next week with more. Have a great week, everyone.